Beat the Waiver Wire next on Fantasy Football Today in 5. Welcome to FFT in 5. I'm Chris Towers. I'm here with Dan Schneier. I apologize if my voice doesn't sound great. I'm recovering from a cold, but I'm here, and we're here to help you beat the waiver wire for Week 14. We're talking about some guys you can go ahead and add this weekend in the hopes that maybe something happens. And I think I don't know if this is the biggest one, but I think it's worth keeping in mind that Zach Ertz was released by the Cardinals yesterday. And look, say what you want about Zach Ertz. I think if he ran the 40-yard dash at the Combine this year, he might break 5, but I'm not 100% sure. He was drawing targets, and last year he was averaging almost 7 targets per game. This year he was averaging over 6 targets per game. There are teams that need tight ends. Baltimore, specifically. He could be a really good fit for what Baltimore wants to do. Replacing Mark Andrews can give them a more reliable option. Isaiah Likely obviously brings more playmaking than Zach Ertz, but I do think if you're desperate for a tight end and you have a roster spot to play with, and I know that's tough with 6 teams on bye this week. That's the thing all around this week, is that it's going to be tough. But if you're desperate, I would consider adding Zach Ertz. He's 17% rostered right now. And then some running backs. I think this is the time of the year where those, A.T. Perry type wide receivers that you're just like, let's see if they figure something out. I think you can go ahead and cut them. Your focus on the bench right now should be making sure you've got high upside handcuffs to guys like Tyler Algier, who's 66% rostered. Elijah Mitchell's down to 49%. If something happens to Christian McCaffrey, everyone's going to go run and add Elijah Mitchell, and they're going to spend their entire fab budget. You could go in and put a $2 bid on him tonight and potentially add him this week if you've got the roster spot. We'll talk about Todd Chandler, Minnesota Vikings. They're on a bye this week, so he's been dropped in a few leagues. Travis Etienne's dealing with a rib injury. It sounds like he's going to play, but Dearness Johnson's 21%, Tank Bigsby 16%, Joshua Kelly, if anything happens to Austin Eckler, 22%, and then Israel Abanikanda is 3%. He's been active the past few weeks for the Jets. If anything happens to Breece Hall, who's dealing with a hamstring injury, he's another one. Dan, who are some you're looking at?
First, staying on running back, Chris, I'm going to throw in Kenneth Gainwell. I just think I like his usage already. And then we know DeAndre Swift's injury history. Mm-hmm. I also think one interesting guy that I was looking into a lot this week and added in a couple leagues is Michael Carter. I don't think anyone expected.
Sure, he's on the Cardinals now.
But, he had a big, solid role with the Cardinals in his first league. I was stunned at how quick they moved him into that offense. And
they cut Keontae Ingram the other day.
And it shows me that they have a plan for him. They want to see if he can be a piece for their future. So they want to actually get him some snaps. It's the only way to do it. And that's good for fantasy football. And we know James Conner's injury history. We know James Conner's already had a big injury this year.
Yep.
So that's a big one for me. And then I have a couple of interesting ones outside of running back as well. Saints DST this week, you don't want to play him. That's obvious. But if you get past this week and you stash them, because this week is the Lions. If you get past this week and you stash them, you get the Patriots and then you get the Giants. That's almost
Panthers and Giants. Sorry,
the Panthers and the Giants. Yeah. Patriots will be almost as good, or maybe even better at this point. But the Panthers and the Giants, you'll take Tommy DeVito, you'll take Bryce Young, you will take these matchups for your fantasy playoffs and for the game right before your fantasy playoffs. So Saints for sure. And then one other one at the receiver position, Chris, would be Josh Palmer. So we've seen that Chargers offense kind of stagnate a bit, really go to a hyper, focused, get it to Keenan Allen, a little bit Eckler, Allen. They need to get someone back that Justin Herbert has a good rapport with. That answer is not Quentin Johnson, Jalen Guyton, Palmer. So when he gets back, I like him as well.
Yeah, Josh Palmer was one of the more pleasant surprises in the NFL for me this season because he was someone that I thought was just a guy. Mm-hmm. And in this Kellen Moore offense with Justin Herbert, he was actually making plays down the field. I thought he looked really, really good, and that's something that this offense is desperately missing. They've had success the past month or so by dialing things back, being more conservative. Like you said, a ton of targets to Keenan Allen, who I think is on very close to his 5th 100 catch season. He's got some NFL record for most games with 13 catches, I think, after last week. It's been very good for Keenan Allen, but it's not great for the offense as a whole. So that's something that I think Josh Palmer, who has a chance to come back from that knee sprain at some point down the stretch, could make a big impact for fantasy football, and that's going to do it for FFT and 5. We'll see you tomorrow.